What is up, everybody? Escape211 here, and today I want to do an Is It Good video for the Voltaic RPG. Now, we got the Voltaic RPG 16 event going on right now. A lot of people are asking me, should I get this Escape? Well, I wanted to kind of talk about the overall set as well as these events. Most of them have been going up in acoin cost if you want to do it when they are acoin based. So a lot of people are asking, about it. I don't necessarily think this one is worth it or the Voltaic RPG in general. So I wanted to cover as to why I think that, so let's get into it. Here we go. Number one, premium price tag. Now, like we just talked about, all of the Voltaic RPGs are ones that you have to get in specific event crate rushes and have a premium price tag, which means that you're going to either spend real money or save up high-end or premium currency from in-game to be able to get these. And when you do that, you want to make sure it's worth it, especially now. As I've been going, I used to tell people to save about 4K acoins, but it's been getting more expensive, man. Most of these events, this one right now is 5K, and other ones have gotten higher than that, depending on the item that they're selling. So it's been even more difficult to save those acoins. So because you're spending all that premium currency, you want to make sure it is worth it. You want to pick the right stuff because it slows down all of your progress otherwise, right? You can't really upgrade anything. You have to do a lot of grinding, or you're spending real money. And when you're spending real money, you want to make sure, again, that your dollar goes further. And I don't think that this weapon, for the other reasons that I'm going to talk about, justifies the premium price tag when you compare it to the other stuff that's premium. So yeah, that's the first reason why I think, because it's such a high cost, I don't think it's going to be worth it. And we'll give the rest of the reasons as to why here. Number two, poor overall stats. Now, if we look at the Missile Rack 8, which is the closest cousin to like the Voltaic RPG 8, we can look at its stats here, maxed out. I'm on the test server, and it does 21k damage per magazine, 3,500 damage per shot, good fire rate, all that kind of stuff. But if we look at the Voltaic RPG 8, its damage per magazine is less, its damage per shot is a little bit less, and its fire rate is worse. I mean, all of these stats are lesser when compared at the same. What's even worse than this, though, is we're going to go over to the Missile Rack 12. I only have these at 1-star level 7, but already you can see that damage per magazine here, 15,330, all right? Damage per shot, similar category to before and all that kind of stuff. And here, your damage per magazine is barely over. It's only about, 600 more, which is not that high. When you consider the fact that this is 2 energy higher, this should have a bit more of a jump, I think, with the energy. Now, of course, these are only 1-star. Maybe that progresses stronger as you go on, but I don't really think, when you look at that, plus its fire rate and other things, that it makes sense just on paper that this, is either on par or a little bit less already than the Missile Racks in similar categories. Now, I know there's a Voltaic RPG 16, and we'll talk about that one, but when you're comparing apples to apples there, it's not looking so great in the overall stats for the Voltaic RPG. So you're going to have to start looking at other things to see if there's other benefits this brings aside from certain stats to allow you to justify using this weapon, because right now the stats aren't quite there for us. Number 3, high exposure, low damage. If you've ever watched one of these videos that I've done before, I will often talk about the idea of low exposure, high damage, and this weapon kind of flip-flops that, and the result is not good, right? We often want times where we can bring the pain very quickly and then duck behind. Now, if you look at a lot of this stuff, when I use this weapon, per shot, this actually does a lot of damage, and it especially looks impressive right here. I'm on the test server, so I'm just going to easily destroy bots that are either 4 or 5 stars when I have everything maxed out. But in actual practice, when you use this, per shot, like I said, still doing high damage, but because the fire rate is so low, you're not really easily going to kill stuff. It's going to be a lot harder to kill things than you think with this weapon, as opposed to other stuff that you can quickly DPS it down, like with arc torrents or missile racks or other stuff that just has that super high damage where you can quickly take out opponents. And because those can do it so quickly, this weapon just can't keep up. Now, you can do peek shooting or corner shooting, and that's not bad, but you usually can't do that long-term against real targets. They're going to find cover. You're not going to be able to sustain damage too easily that way. So you really have to think about this in context of playing against real players, and how difficult that's going to be for a weapon like this compared to the other high damage, low exposure meta-based weapons that you see a lot of. So this definitely struggles in that category, and it's another reason why I think it's just not worth its price tag. Number 4, weak perk and rank up ability. This weapon has the shock payload perk, which is basically the same thing that the arc torrent does, where it shakes the opponent's targeting system when you shoot at them. Now, this is more of a visual effect than anything. It doesn't affect AI, and a lot of players have gotten used to dealing with it because arc torrents are so frequent in the game. And this doesn't sustain in the same way that an arc torrent does, or is close up, where there's kind of a panic mode that happens. Usually you just get one shot in here and then their targeting system goes back. So as a perk, this is not really doing a whole lot to your actual target or your opponent, so not too strong there. The rank up ability actually increases the damage radius on this weapon. Now, this actually does have a decent radius. It is stronger than that of like the missile rack, so its radius performs decently. It's actually same or very similar to the disc launchers. I'm not sure exactly if they're the exact damage radius is exactly the same, but they're pretty darn close. The problem is that this does not have anything of an implant that boosts its damage radius in the same way that disc launchers do. So you aren't going to get that super big boom that you get with the disc launchers that you'd want to have with this weapon. So it definitely suffers a little there. It's not to say that its damage radius is bad, but I just don't think it's strong enough of a bonus either way with both of those things to justify its use once again, to make it stronger than other stuff in the meta. And that's always the problem. This is an okay weapon, but it's not one that I think is worth the premium price tag or better in the meta than other meta-based weapons that we currently have to make it justified to get. So that is my assessment of the Voltaic RPG set. Overall, I will say this isn't the worst set in the game. It's probably middle of the road, but when you think about this being a premium-based weapon that you have to save all this currency for, it's hard for me to justify that, especially as, you know, maybe this is a placeholder for you and that's great. It'll help you in the current meta, but you'll probably regret spending your resources on it later when you do get those better meta weapons, because I don't see this weapon in the meta like ever. So that tells you something. But you guys can let me know what you think about this weapon if you plan to get it, and your thoughts on it, and we'll see you out there on the battlefield.